and
Wow.
I don't know what the treasure was because I had loaded up everything and I was sitting there trying to get back to the outpost and watching people and making sure they weren't trying to come after me. And I hit some rocks I didn't see and I sank the ship and I'm like, son of a bitch. I was so pissed.
What a sailor.
This week's episode is brought to you by our buddies over at Mutiny Info Cafe, where they not only have a great selection of used books, records, and great coffee, but they also have a fantastic selection of new and used comic books, graphic novels, and more. Mutiny Information Cafe in Denver at the corner of Broadway and Ellsworth, and online at mutinyinfocafe.com.
This week in Comically Gaming, Sea of Thieves. We cover animated Deadpool, Telltale, teasing Walking Dead, Infinity Wars crossover, the return of the Fantastic Four, and this weekend spoilers, Ready Player One.
Word.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Good. Happy Easter.
Ready Player One.
Happy Easter.
Happy Zombie Jesus.
Happy dropping Jesus.
Well, welcome to Comically Gaming, episode 98. Yeah, I guess so. Get her going. Start her off.
Do it.
Oh,
That.
it's good. Be two games. Couple classics on the PS4. First I beat Dishonored 1.
How is that? I never played it all the way through.
It's awesome. Really great.
Stealthy, right?
Yeah, it's stealthy for sure, and I'm the most sloppy assassin of all time.
Right.
I'll be like running. Supposed to like sneak around. I'll just like run up through a million guards, shoot a guy with the crossbow, and then like jump off the balcony, or I'll like transform into a rat and like get stuck in a corner, and then transform back into a human and just try and stand really still and hope I'm not spotted. But it's really sweet. Like, you got all these different powers to do your stealth. Like I said, you can transform into a rat. You can teleport. You can do all this different stuff, and it's all about stealth killing. You're an assassin, and the story's really good. It was really great. I just got Dishonored 2 on sale, and I've had Dishonored 1 for a while, so I just wanted to knock it out, and I'm glad I did. It's one of my favorite games so far this year, for sure. It's great.
That's awesome.
I've always wanted to check it out. I've always just been busy playing other things when those games came out. Everybody's always said they were good.
Yeah, it's great. I give it a 8.7.
It's a patient game, though. I mean, you have to be like...
It is.
You have to wait. A lot of times, wait.
Sure.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, for sure. But it's sweet. And then I bought the remaster of Shadow of Colossus and beat that.
Wow.
So, Corey, without spoiling it, that game, there's the moment in there towards the end that, like, made such an impression on me. Like, one of the few times that I, like, left up from my couch and was, like, yelling at the TV for a second. You know what I'm talking about, or...? We'll have to talk about it later.
I don't know.
That just blew me away. That I used to suggest that to everybody.
Really? I don't know if there was a moment that like blew me away, but I don't know. I liked it. It was all right. I don't know. It's not my type of game, really. I give it an 8 out of 10 because it was a good game. Obviously, really well done, but it's just kind of, I don't know, not my type of game. It's like,
is it just kind of the lack of stuff to do, like that world is super empty and you just ride across it to fight the Colossus and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, it's you ride 20 minutes to get to a Colossus, and then it's basically like a climbing puzzle, and then it's not actually like combat. And then
Well, you're not
teleports you back to base, and then half the time you run the same fucking way. I wish there was like a fast travel system,
right?
Because it's just a lot of horse riding, and then all it is kill a Colossus, teleport back to base. Go kill a Colossus, teleport back to base. Like,
see, I just really enjoyed I enjoyed the ride. Like, to me, that 20-minute ride to the Colossus or whatever was awesome every time. Like, I just really dug cruising across. I guess that's why I like Breath of the Wild a lot as well. Like, those kind of just moments. That's just even the same thing now that I think about it. My favorite moments of The Witcher were just riding across the countryside and just looking around
Serenity
and stuff. And yeah, I like that. I like that in that game too. That was the first game that I ever played that had moments like that, and I enjoyed them.
Is it autopilot for the horse, or do you have to control the horse?
You gotta control him and hold down triangle. He'll gallop for a while if you let go of triangle, but then he'll start going to a trot again. And then half the time he fucking trots when he should be galloping. You can't make him gallop, and then I just want to kick him.
That explains the Spurs comment.
Yeah.
He's got his own mind, Corey.
but it's cool. I mean, the Colossuses are awesome. I mean, obviously it's a really great game. It's just not really my style. And kind of there's a few points with the Colossuses where I would get stuck, and it became less of a battle and more of like a puzzle that I was stuck on for a minute, and then I'd be like, ugh. But
that's funny. I wish I had the time to play it again. Like when that game came out, it was 10 out of 10 for sure, and I think I put it in probably in my top 10 of all time. But you know, it's been a while, and I know I hated The Last Guardian because of the kind of archaic controls and stuff like that. So I don't know if today it would have the same impression on me.
Question. I guess that's what I was gonna ask. Is I didn't take to Last Guardian, so should I even try with Shadow of the Colossus?
I mean, yeah, they're definitely different. Like, I stopped playing The Last Guardian because I would just get stuck at certain points, and there's just no direction. At least Shadow of the Colossus, you can hold up a sword and it points you where to go. Half the time it points you to a fucking place that you can't get through, and then you have to turn around and like go around that mountain. It was actually pointing behind the mountain.
Gives me extra time to ride around.
That shit pissed me off when I haven't. But at least it tells you where to go. You just get so lost in The Last Guardian. It's just so many times where I'd have to go on YouTube and find out what to do next, and the camera control sucked, and it just, I don't know. It is better than The Last Guardian for sure, but they're different, but similar art style, obviously. But
you know, poor camera controls will ruin any game's quality.
Yeah.
And I'm with Corey. I hate games where you have, because it feels like, why the fuck do I have to run back there again? Because I'm tired of fucking running back and forth.
But it's so beautiful.
I don't care. So beautiful. That's why I hated Assassin's Creed 3. It's like it took fucking forever to get around the fucking water. I'm like, dude.
It's like hanging out a painting.
There's even like shrines throughout the world that you can pray at to heal. Those would be perfect fast travel points. They're not right next to the Colossus, so you can still like ride your horse from there to the next Colossus. But it's whatever.
Giving it an 8 though. You obviously liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good. And it just wasn't. You've always said it's one of your favorite games of all time. Not one of my favorites of all times, but I did like it. It was good. I mean, it is fun taking out the giant Colossuses, and once you do, figure it out and take them down, it's great. But then you're back at the temple and you gotta ride your horse for another 20 minutes to get to the next one.
Corey ends up killing the horse at the end of the game. It's like the dog in Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Oh God, that dog.
And then so those are my. Oh, and what's it called? Danganronpa. Danganronpa.
Danganronpa is what I've always.
Danganronpa.
Yeah.
I bought that and I've been playing that like an hour or two before bed. And I bought 1+2 Reload. It's like a bundle. And I really like that. That's great. It's like a visual novel, like Doki Doki style. So it's not. Yeah, and it's supposed to be one of the best, and it does seem great. All the characters are really awesome. It's on sale right now.
You can move around the environments. Like, you do have control of places that you go and stuff. Like in Doki Doki, you're just flat out watching.
Right. It's a little more interactive, but it is a visual novel.
Sure.
But, it's not there's no action or anything in it.
Manga style?
Yeah, the anime style.
I think it's manga. Yeah. Manga style.
but really cool. I'm digging the story. It's pretty sweet so far. It's long. I think they're both like 1 and 2 are each 30 hours long. So I'm gonna be chipping away at it for a while. But I'm digging it. It's cool to play. It's not as intense as a game. It's just kind of chill out and play it. And then I finished 2 of the winter animes finished last week. Yuru Camp and Citrus. Yuru Camp, one of my favorite.
All the way through? It was good?
Yeah,
good?
all the way through. 9.5.
Wow.
Is it
really great.
Is it safe for kids?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Safe for kids. I mean, as long as it's just camping.
We're looking for another one. We were gonna
Inuyasha.
We were thinking about Dragon Ball. Was the other one?
I don't know if the kids would be into it. I mean, if they would be into it, watching a show about high school girls going camping, then they would like it. But that's pretty much all the show is.
Right.
But it's just great. They just have great times camping. They really love camping. It just makes you want to go camping. It's funny. It's I don't know. I really like slice of life anime apparently because it was just great. And then Citrus was I'd give it a 7. Not great. Citrus probably not safe for the kids. I mean, I guess it is. I mean, it's a show about lesbian stepsisters, so
They don't get raunchy though?
Wow.
they get a little raunchy.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean,
That's so weird.
it's weird, yeah. And then I wanted to read Saga, but Shadow of the Colossus, I just finished it like 15 minutes before the show, so I didn't read Saga. But I did read X-Men Red 1 and 2.
Yeah, right?
And you're right, really
That team's
great.
Awesome. They got Nightcrawler and Namor on that X-Men team.
Yeah, and Jean, it's awesome seeing her back. And
Jean's great.
Yeah, really. I never heard of that writer, but it's it's really great. Best X-Men book I've read in a long time.
Yeah.
So, but good stuff. And that's it. My week.
Wow.
What's up? Dirt.
Wow.
That was crazy.
Yeah, pretty weird week. But let's see. I read some comic books, of course. Thor 705, which is winding down. I think there's one more after this, and then it's done. I don't even know if there's spoilers about what's happening in it. Does everybody know? The female Thor?
Vaguely.
Jane Foster?
I know it vaguely.
Okay.
What's happening?
Should I not say it?
I wouldn't say it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it.
What's happening with Jane?
Yeah. I mean, I'll leave it alone.
Yeah,
I mean-
alone. If you enjoy it, recommend it to people. But I'd hate
Yeah.
for somebody to be 10 issues back and trying to avoid.
I mean, everybody knows that Jane has cancer, if
Yes.
that's what you're talking about. But I don't know anything beyond that. Whenever she transforms into Thor, it negates her chemo. I know that.
I think it's probably one of the best Marvel books out right now.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better and better as it's going on, and now that the series is ending, it's just like a really emotional, heavy hitter shit, and just great writing. Jason Aaron, of course, is just an awesome, perfect writing. The big news, I think, in comics this week was Jessica Jones 18, which is the final Bendis Jessica Jones book. He's done with the series, and he made it seem like unless something really crazy happens, he's never gonna write her again, or so it's like it was a big deal. He scripted a whole letter in the back of the issue, and
do they kind of wrap up? Like, I stopped like 4 or 5 issues back. I'm kind of waiting for the collection. Did they wrap up that storyline that was happening when they dropped off? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then it's a one-shot. But what's crazy about this one-shot that ends the series is that he's been laying Easter eggs, funnily enough, all the way throughout his, not just Jessica Jones, but Miles Morales and stuff, and The Thing. There's stuff that you can go back in all his books and pick up in this last story.
Nice.
And he said he was waiting for the time that he was going to end walk away from the series. He didn't know when or how, and he delivered it, and it was just, it's awesome. It's an awesome way to end it.
If we give a score to his run with Jessica Jones, it's 10 out of 10, right?
I'm giving it 10. Yeah. Absolutely.
Me too.
And this book, I mean, this issue actually ties it up so perfectly, and like, it basically, I'm okay with giving it a 10 out of 10. I was before, but that last book, absolutely, and I definitely, it's a must read.
Right.
To read it to end the series. Then in terms of games, I just played Shadow of War nonstop, and I'm not going to talk any more about it because I've already said enough. But
your piece.
Just as a last thing, directly just for you, Nate, because you played the first one. It's awesome. This game, it takes the original and extends way past it. You play about 4 or 5 hours into it. You get to that 5th hour, and then the floodgates just kind of open up, and it's just like, whoa, because you start having to amass an army, and so you can take over. I don't remember if this happens in the first one, but you can take over like mind control with the Urukai.
Right.
Take them, and you can send them. You can issue death threats to the captains. You can establish bodyguards for yourself with them, and you can infiltrate like other armies and get to the captain to try to like have them work underneath the captain and trick them and stab them in the back. And then also you can send them into a pit to fight other ones that aren't under your control and like take over their section or whatever of the land. It's so complex and layered and crazy. I was just like,
you've convinced me.
I mean the first section,
I might wait for a sale or something, but I'll get it.
The first section, I was like, okay, this game is, it's just an extension of the first one. It's good, it's solid, But once that happened, I was like, oh my god, it's a different game completely. Nice. And then in terms of D&D, I got some second edition here, the Arms and Equipment Guide, which I got this because 5th edition doesn't have...
Shit.
Right. It's not a very extensive list of weapons and armor and...
That's for sure. It's
equipment.
Like the player's handbook, right?
Yeah, it's super short. Yeah. So I don't have to translate any stats over with this. This just gives me like detailed equipment and prices. So
nice.
Yeah. That's the thing that 2E beats 5E at. I mean, 5E is great in a million ways, but 2E is just so extensive and so much stuff there to choose from.
Well, 2E's been around a lot longer than 5E too.
Right. Well, they had like 8. What was the total on that? I think they started in 1990 and ended in 98.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then let's see, TV. Oh, anime. I started watching Inuyasha. So the thing with Inuyasha, I'm a huge Inuyasha fan, but I only watched the first 3 seasons. And it's kind of like one of those things I dropped off and stopped watching. But I'm gonna finish it this time. So I'm starting at the beginning of season 4. I think it goes for 4 more seasons.
Are they 24 episodes or 12?
What's that?
Are they 24 episode seasons or 12?
I think they're 24. It's a long series. And it's definitely, Nate, you were looking for something kid friendly. Inuyasha, they have battle in it, but there's nothing like weird, you know.
Yeah, I mean we watch Attack on Titan and stuff.
It's way
if that
less.
tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Way less than that.
So how do you, for my sake, and I assume maybe some people watching and listening, how do you spell it so we can search it out?
Inuyasha.
Thank you.
And it deals with demons in feudal Japan, and like there's a lot of like boss battle type stuff that happens in it, which is awesome, and it's sort of a great romance. But no, it's a great series, I think. And then I watched one episode of that Be the Beginning on Netflix about the serial killer, the anime. So I don't have much to report. I plan on watching it. It didn't really hit me too hard from that first episode, but we'll see.
Right.
That's it.
Ready for Persona next month.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the news.
Persona.
Huh? Did we get it?
No, it didn't make the cut.
Oh, it didn't make it.
Yeah.
That's right. I made sure of that.
I never watched the Persona 4 animes. I wonder if I need to beat the game before I watch it.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll be
Okay.
watching it.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my week.
That's awesome. No, I didn't think I was gonna get much done this week, video game wise or anything. I was a little preoccupied and busy, but I managed to knock out some more Monster Hunter World, probably like 6-7 hours of it. Trying to catch up to help Nate, and Corey's right, that shit gets hard. That shit gets hard.
Yep.
I get 2-shotted by a monster, and it's just...
Yeah, that's why I had to stop and get that armor set. I was like, I'm not like, I could team up with somebody and not really help at all and just try and stay safe and beat, have them beat the monster for me. But if I wanted to get in the fight, I would get killed way too easy. So,
and don't try and change up your weapons. And if you haven't done it already, like I've rocked twin blades, dual blades for almost the entire game. Tried to change it up with a bow. Yeah, not a good idea. Not a good idea. Way behind the power curve. So I was rocking that out. And I played some more Sea of Thieves. I actually had a little bit of downtime on Friday. And I was really getting back into it. I was enjoying it. I was going out collecting treasure. I found a message in a bottle that's just sitting on an island just randomly. And they did such a great job at the environments in this game that it's almost like I want to start hovering over everything that I saw to see if I could interact with it, because I just randomly found this bottle, and it was another treasure map. And
Wow.
I don't know what the treasure was, because I had loaded up everything, and I was sitting there trying to get back to the outpost and watching people and making sure they weren't trying to come after me. And I hit some rocks I didn't see, and I sank the ship. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I was so pissed.
What a sailor.
Yeah, it's
Two-
funny. I
2
kind of
hours.
thought, Jeff, that I kind of, I guess, downplayed how much time I really had for Sea of Thieves. But I'm finding myself, it's been a week since I had that long play session with you, and I totally want to get back to it first chance we can. It's definitely got a pull on me.
It really is a good game. It really is a good game. And then tonight I played Titanfall 2 for the first time. Never played it. I played the original one on the Xbox One when it was released, and I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun.
I need a shooter. Yeah, I need a shooter, so I might
It's-
try.
Get to the 5th mission. It's
Yeah.
really crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the game's only like 6 hours total. So
Yeah. I'll rock it out. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was fun to stream it, and it's pretty slow night tonight being Easter. Then the other thing I did is I watched this little movie. You might have heard of it, Ready Player One.
Right?
And I won't get into it very much because at the end of this segment, we are going to have a full spoiler with Steph from Not So Nerdy Nerd and Casey, the movie night. And maybe someone else if they see it and want to join in. But
yeah, I'm gonna see it on Wednesday, so I won't make
it is really good. It didn't follow the book, but I'm happy with what they did because what they didn't follow in the book, they made up visually on screen. This is one of the best visually and stories told by Spielberg since the 80s, I think. I really do. In a nutshell, it is the modern day Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I'll leave it at that. But soundtrack was good.
Soundtrack, yeah.
I really enjoyed the soundtrack, and yeah, just watch the spoilers because we won't even be able to get into a tenth of everything that was in that movie.
How many pop culture references did you?
Dude. Well, fitting. How many Easter eggs did you find in Ready Player One?
Right.
Actually, that's going to be our question for next week. Is what are folks' thoughts on Ready Player One? But
that lead in the middle.
As much as I was a little upset at first that they didn't follow the book, I loved all the references, and whoever masterminded the licensing to get all the licensing to show everything that it showed, hats off to that person because.
Yeah.
Well, when Spielberg calls, I mean.
And that's what I was thinking. I mean, a lot of people say that Spielberg is probably the least likely candidate to do a sort of a pop culture fanboy 80s style movie, but then he's the only one that could do it to pull the clout to get what he got.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it wasn't doing well critically. Yeah, it's like 65 on Metacritic, but then everybody I know that likes the same kind of movies I like and stuff, they're saying like it's one of the best movies ever. So now I definitely want to see it. You know, I don't know if it's just critics because it's like a movie about video games and stuff. Critics just don't give it.
they don't.
That,
it's not. Like, it's not the critically acclaimed movies that you're gonna see. It is a fun movie. I had so much fun watching this movie. It is the type of movie that makes you want to go to the movie theater and watch it with an audience to feed off the energy, and everyone's just having a great time watching it.
Making me want to watch it, yeah.
And I watched it in 3D, and I hate movies in 3D. I despise. I've said this before. Movies that we watched in 3D and then we have to watch in standard def. The only way really to get the experience of this movie is watch it in 3D. Watch it in 3D.
I won't be watching them.
I know Corey can't. I know Corey can't, but normally 3D, unless you're looking directly at something on screen, it's very blurry around the edges. This was not. This was not because it's meant to be almost interactive virtual reality, but they didn't do shit in there because it had 3D. They just told a story. You know, some movies like when I watched Thor Ragnarok, they purposely moved Thor's hammer across the screen and the camera just because of 3D, and I fucking hate that shit. So it was outstanding in 3D. It would be just as good in standard 2D, but 3D I was really impressed. Yeah. I was super impressed. And that's it. I didn't get a chance to read comic books. I was reading boring textbooks.
So stick around for the end of the show for the full
spoilers. So stick around for full
Ready
spoiler.
Player One discussion. Yeah.
Hot stuff.
All right, is that it then?
Yeah, that is it. Yep.
Okay. All right, so couple things for myself. I had a very busy week not enjoying fun, cool stuff. And but a couple things I just wanted to talk about this week. Number one, baseball. Baseball's back.
Yeah.
I want to just spend a minute to. It seems like a lot of kind of the nerd culture people, no matter what type of thing you're really into, it more often than not into sports at all. And I just want to throw out there, because I like sports, and the sports hits me two different ways, and both of them kind of revolve around games, right? And so first of all, there are storylines in sports
Oh, absolutely.
that are playing out live in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And so, and particularly in baseball, because the season is so long, that by the end of the year, you can have matchups between two players, the pitcher and the batter, that things have. What's up, Tony? Shout out to Tony. So, but anyways, you can have matchups at the end of the year between two players that have faced each other many times throughout the year, that just build and build and build upon each other to just make these awesome moments. And so I just want to throw it out there. It's not all just big jughead meatheads running around playing sports. You can get into it for nerdy aspects. And then the other side of it is stats. I dig stats. Like, even as a kid, I used to get the sports section in the newspaper and just look at the little print of the stats that all the fantasy football players were using before the internet came around. I just would stare at that shit in the morning before I had to go to school and stuff. Like, that just hasn't appealed to me in the same way that like a old school RPG has crazy stats. Baseball's the best for crazy stats.
I think of all the sports, I think baseball has the most in-depth and the best stats of all sports.
Yep, definitely.
It's like
so
a whole
much
new
history on them.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's so much, and it's like a completely different language when you start. When you're talking about RIS and RBIs, ERAs, and it's just even HIP, even hit by pitches, or HIP, hit by pitches. And
so the other thing that I was going to say is that at one point, my dad kind of pointed this out to me, and he's the one responsible for turning me into a baseball nerd, and is that baseball is really deceptive to the average person. Like, it really just looks like guys hitting a ball and running around bases, right? And there's so much strategy. Like, in between each pitch, everyone on the field is doing something that contributes to a play. Mm-hmm. And each pitch that happens, and it goes so deep, the strategy of who's doing what, that it's one of those things that as you learn about baseball and you watch more and more of it, you pick up more and more on that. And I really feel like baseball and football are the two sports where the coaches are really playing chess, right? Like,
yes.
In hockey and basketball, and I like hockey and basketball, but it's not the same thing when people are running full motion back and forth the whole time. There's you try to develop plays, but it's not that chess match that baseball and football are. So, anyways, I'll stop babbling about sports. I know people don't want to hear it, but just wanted to throw out there. I call myself a sports nerd instead of like a sports fan or whatnot. Watched. Corey didn't bring it up. Walking Dead was awesome again. I think we've had a couple weeks now of really good Walking Deads. So happy that they're back to being a fun, good part of the week that I look forward to. For a while there, it wasn't like that. Seems like it is again. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Star Wars. Surprise, surprise. So with The Last Jedi being out, there's a lot of Star Wars around. There's Star Wars on TV, and today there's a marathon on TNT. And that was on earlier in the day, and my youngest son, who's 10, was watching it by himself. And I walked into the room, and I do have to say that I really am a champion and supporter of The Last Jedi in a way that a lot of people aren't. I really enjoyed that movie. But however, I walked in to Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to get spoilery on Empire Strikes Back.
No, don't do that. Okay. It's only 40 years old.
So I walked into my 10-year-old watching Empire Strikes Back right at the scene when Yoda reveals himself to not be this crazy little creature, to be the Jedi Master. He's talking to Obi-Wan, about how Luke's not, he's been watching Luke and Luke is not up for this. And then Luke's like excitement to be like, holy shit, when he figures it out and then he's like, no, I'm here. Like there's no moments like that in the new movies. Like the new movies, I
not like
them.
that.
Yeah,
not to that level.
But yeah, I walked in and I said to my son, I said, "Oh, this is one of the greatest spots of the movie." And he looked at me, he's like, "Yeah, like I mean, you know what I mean? We were feeling it." And like I say, there's just there's some special things in The Empire Strikes Back in particular that just make it my favorite movie of all time in a way that these new movies are not,
You think about it, though, as Empire, because it wasn't directed by George Lucas, it was directed by Irving Kushner, it was such a dark film, and you think when it came out, everyone was not expecting it, and it did have those moments. And Rian Johnson did try to recreate some of that in The Last Jedi, but it was more the interaction between Luke and Yoda. But one overarching theme that does carry on is all the trilogies, there's always another. Someone that's less trained and not coming into it as yet, but there's always another one that they speak of. And that did translate over into Last Jedi.
Yeah, yep, definitely. So anyways,
all right.
I love The Empire Strikes Back. It's my favorite movie of all time.
It's so great.
So the only video game that I played this week was Monster Hunter. I really am hardcore. I want to see the credits by the end of this week. I got a 3-day weekend. I have to spend the next 2 of those days doing taxes. So that time's up. The next weekend will be my birthday, and I don't want to be doing taxes on my birthday.
I finished today.
Yeah, so
I already did mine.
I doubt
I need to do mine too.
Well, mine got rejected several times, so I had to.
Funny. Finally read Saga 26, so I'm halfway caught up to where we're at now, and it was great. It was really
what just
one
happened?
of the best issues. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. It's too.
Don't spoil it.
But
no.
It's what can you say about Saga? It's the greatest. It's heads
It's
and
the
shoulders
absolute
above
greatest.
everything else. It's so good. And then finally, we're a couple days away. When the day that this episode comes out, Legion is back. And I'm stoked for some Legion. Yep.
Damn, I'm ready.
That was our weeks.
News of the week.
Wowzers.
Number 5. Sea of Thieves is Microsoft's fastest selling game on Xbox One.
Pretty much. I haven't not paid the $60 because I'm still using the Game Pass, and I wish I had more time to play it because I'll put it off, and then like Nate says, you start getting that call, and you jump back into it, and the next thing you know, 2 hours is gone, and you're like, where the fuck? And you're trying to get your treasure back, and I had some good shit, and I think I did. I don't know. I had cool jewels on it. It was spooky looking. I found other shit. I'm like, where'd all this crap come from? And then it sank. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I was trying to bail water, and this bitch was going down. It was bad. It was like, oh, well. But I can see it. I mean, and there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of buzz about Sea of Thieves, even with the negativity and the complaint about griefing. One thing that wasn't on here also is someone just actually hit level 50 on it as Legendary Pirate. And not only did he hit 50, he hit 50 with all 3 factions. And there's a lot of backlash saying that he was riding coattails of other crews and jumping on at the last minute to turn in the chest. And it's just, everyone's whiny. It's just fucking play the game.
Makes sense. It's their biggest game. I mean, the only competition would be Halo 5, right? And just people weren't as hyped.
For this article, though, it was in bleedingcool.com, and the key here is that it's the fastest-selling new IP this generation. Yeah. So Halo is not included in what it was against.
What else is there?
Yeah, like Recore would be one. Knack.
I think Monster Hunter World.
Knack's PS4.
Oh, for Microsoft. Never mind.
Yep, exactly. Anyways, it's well deserved though. It's a great game. Definitely well deserved.
I would prefer. I would like to see it. I would like to see it port over to the PS4. But, you know, Microsoft doesn't have much exclusivity in games, and they're kind of like a sinking ship in certain ways, because look at the issues I ran into with the Xbox One trying to stream. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Fuck Microsoft. PlayStation is awesome. You pop it and go.
Number 4. Deadpool animated series. Bunch of news. Donald Glover.
So it's over.
Drama. Yep, it's done. All because of a Taylor Swift thing,
Right.
apparently. Well, not all because, but yeah, that had something to do with it, they think.
What's up with Taylor
What
Swift?
about Taylor Swift?
They don't-
Taylor could do
Yes.
no wrong.
They had an episode, they didn't go into detail, but that concerned Taylor Swift in the Deadpool animated series
Who gives a fuck?
that caused FXX to drop the, what's his name? The Glover brothers.
Glover.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, so in Glover got on Twitter and said a bunch of things and then deleted them later also.
Yes.
And basically saying that, hey, it wasn't me that said no to this. That, you know, they came
Yeah.
out,
Right,
they're the
because
ones,
they said it,
They got
yeah.
rid of me, and then he came out, and I guess the episode, or at least parts of episodes, leaked online. Now, by the time I tried to go watch it, all the videos are down. But
Yeah.
but they said
Yeah.
super violent, like heads getting chopped off, and definitely shotguns to the face and things like that in it. So
It's
you know,
Deadpool, so what?
it sucks. To me, though, this is FX wants to play nice with Disney, and when it got too crazy, they said no. We want to keep any type of cash cow we have coming, which is Legion right now, and and it just feels like it was too crazy for that, which doesn't bode well for whatever happens to Deadpool when Disney buys Fox, right?
Right?
Yeah, I mean-
absolutely right. I mean, no, the thing is, Deadpool is racy by nature.
Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
that's the whole point of it. And if that's the case, if it had to do with content being too heavy for them and not some other dispute that we don't know about, I just think that's a bad move.
It is.
On,
But
you know.
Disney's not going to feel it because they have so many other cash cows that they're going
I
to
know.
squeeze and kill.
the
And
monolith.
I'm sorry, Disney is not all pure and proper. Disney's kind of they're a bunch of dirtbags, dude.
We know about those secret drawings. And,
I don't
You
know.
don't be talking bad about Disney.
Study some of Disney's changes, and they like to rewrite history to make it seem like it's a spoonful of sugar, and Mary Poppins is going to come in and slay the crocodile and get fucking Hook's hand back. No, Disney's kind of dirty. They are.
Disney's a magical,
Dirty Disney.
wonderful company. Number 3. Telltale Games teases dead fans with new promo photos. They showed Clem's hat, all bloody.
Yeah,
so
so
that.
Who's Clem?
couple things.
Clementine, she's the lead character in the Telltale
Oh, in the
Walking
game?
Dead games.
Okay.
The main reason I voted for this one is number one, because I wanted to come out and talk about it, because in passing on Discord one day, Dirk said that he's not down with Telltale games, and I was at work or something and it got stale in the thread, and I just wanted to say that regardless, I understand how you might not be down with like that type of a game, but you have to play Telltale Season 1.
Well, hold on. I said the exception was Walking Dead.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
Yeah,
You did
because
say
I played the first episode, and I love that one. It's just I played.
Did you play through the first season?
I played the Game of Thrones one, and
That was
that's
terrible.
That one
Yeah.
sucked.
That
Game of
would
Thrones was
suck
awful.
ball sacks.
They're hit or
played through the
miss. I mean,
first
the
season.
Borderlands one was awesome, but
I haven't played through the whole thing. I'll do the whole thing.
You
I'll
have
get
to.
it.
Like, don't you
Yeah.
agree, Corey? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah. it's one of my
so
favorites.
great. Yeah,
I think the whole series is on sale on PS4 right now.
Well, then there you go.
So this article is my excuse, Dirk, to try and convince you to play that at least season 1. I don't even care if you drop it after season 1, but I love Clem so much after season 1 that I wouldn't drop it at this point.
Yeah.
And anyways, to get back to the news, they've clearly said that this 4th season is the final one. And then the picture that they showed was just her hat on the ground, which I think they're trying to point out the fact that things don't look good for.
Well, I ain't
for
gonna
her.
die.
But yeah, do you think do they go out with her dying? Like that would be
That would be
that'd be
fucked
too
up.
much. Yeah, that'd be too much.
That'd be awesome.
They better go out with her, enter it with
Kill
her
her!
Rick.
Chat
Yeah,
never
the
goes
same
stale in
week.
Discord. Okay.
The same week, it should be on the show.
Don't
Yeah.
spoil Walking Dead, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do a spoiler on that? Because I'll do it if we all want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll
The
do
Walking-
it if we're gonna do it.
on
Season
Telltale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe
After
Rick
the
actually-
17th of April, I'll do it.
Can't believe they killed Rick.
Shut your mouth.
So number 2.
Chat doesn't go stale in Discord. Just
Marvel
get there.
announces the next big crossover, Infinity War.
Okay. Hear
Now,
me
is this
out.
a comic
Hear me
book?
out. Yes, there's going to be a main series and spin-offs from that go through. 2 reasons why I'm totally into this. Number 1 is Jerry Duggan is writing it, and if you've read any of the Deadpool stuff, he's been writing Deadpool. I think he's got like 14 volumes worth of writing Deadpool or something. He's awesome. He is one of the best horses in their stable at Marvel. I'm convinced.
He writes Deadpool now.
He writes Deadpool now. He did the
It's good.
he did the All New Guardians of the Galaxy book, and he did I think Nova. So that's number 1. Then number 2, it's a crossover in Marvel Cosmic, and I love Marvel Cosmic, just anything. So to have something that big, and Thanos is in it, and the gems, and it's like this treasure hunt style sort of story, I'm totally into that. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Cool.
I'll just talk trash about Marvel got a new, a new head and is still doing these my only complaint, and has been, if people have been watching Comically Gaming, they've heard me say it too many times, that if you just are reading Captain America, then there's going to be a couple issues in the middle of it that don't make any sense or aren't a part of the current story arc.
Right.
And that, like, I'm the type of reader who I'd like to subscribe to a few different books or whatever, but when those ones come up, I feel like I'm being cheated. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just, it's purely a marketing ploy to get me to buy all the main series stuff, and that just continues to piss me off. I wish
That's
they'd do away
true.
with it.
I totally agree with that. At the same time, I don't know if this crossover is going to be affecting any of the core books. I think it's really just going to be mostly the cosmic characters.
But still,
Right.
I'd be pissed if I was reading Guardians of the Galaxy and, like I say, just in the middle, they cut to something else. That always rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I
depends
hate
how abruptly.
crossovers.
Yeah, it depends how abruptly they would shift it. But
It's
they
like crossovers on TV.
I'd prefer just they can do an Infinity War book, but just don't cross it over into any of the main books. Just have it. But,
right.
Whatever. Number 1 though.
Corey's favorite.
Fantastic Four.
They're back.
They're back.
Bravo. Now they spoiled it. I mean, I'm reading the like Marvel 2 and 1, and they dropped that.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit.
It is
Speaking of
kind
which,
of bullshit.
that's next week's CBBC.
You see? Yep,
Well, it's like,
number
why do I want to read the rest now?
4. Yeah.
I know what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why they would say that it's coming out,
Fucking
but
lame.
but
New head at Marvel, and
I mean,
he's got to make an
They've got to
impact.
sell subscriptions, right? I mean, what else do you do?
Yeah.
You know?
yeah,
I guess the only interest now is to see how they come back.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, have you read number 4 for 2 and 1?
No, I haven't. I just started on the first page. And then I started this show.
What's up, everybody? So, this week for Community Corner, we asked, well, Nate, he posted a thing on Facebook about supposedly Meryl Streep is being considered to play Princess Leia in Episode 9. And I think it's bullshit. And a couple other folks did not agree with me at all. And Francisco said he'd be down. He'd prefer it rather than like a hologram Tupac. Deborah said she'd be great. I said no. Dirk said suck it. And then Jeremy said she played before. If it has to be done, Streep could be the one. Bill said sure, why not? Deborah said she'd be perfect. And then Zach said at this stage it could be Charo as Leia. Anything goes. And then to cap it off, Phil suggested that Natalie Portman come back and play. And
What?
yeah, I don't know. The end of
What is happening?
he went to some craziness.
But
I personally think
if you go, Jeff, if you go down Phil's comment a little bit more, he actually says he doesn't. He says it would be doesn't matter
I know.
who it is. It
Well,
would be a
I wasn't reading
disgrace
it.
to recast
Yeah.
her, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, Phil, he goes on to say that they should kill her in the opening crawl and explain it as more fitting. And I kind of agree. Or have Billy Lord play her mom. She'd
know what?
be the best, I think, at it. But
I would prefer a CGI
no,
Princess Leia than Meryl Streep, to be
Me
honest.
too. I agree with that.
I
I
agree.
would prefer
Yeah.
neither. I would prefer neither. Like somehow they have to just write it out of the story. They should have killed her in the last one, but the fact that they didn't like to recast her in the finale of her storyline would not be good. It would make me mad.
Right.
Yeah, I think they should, yeah. So I think I don't know. I say they should have treated it with dignity and killed her because Ryan Johnson said that they had treated it very respectfully, and that was just at the end they gave her in memory of, which was awesome. I prefer. So next week, our community question for right now is, what did you think of Ready Player One?
Yep.
And I'm going to post that in Facebook right now.
Oh,
So by
nice.
the time this gets released, hopefully people will chime in.
Right.
If not, I'm gonna have to go to people's houses and plead them to please post it.
All right, so we're at that part of the show where we like to give it back. We had a ton of new subscribers. It continues to blow me away how many new subscribers we're getting week in and week out here, and just we're really appreciative to everybody. Because we are so appreciative, we like to give you a quick shout out on the show. Put your links to the description of these videos or these channels in the description of our video. That's what I meant to say. So thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing this week. We really appreciate it. Likewise, if you do things on YouTube, this is a great resource. This is a huge list of people that are currently active, right? So go out there, hit them up, sub everybody round and round in a great big circle, and it makes everything awesome. So that being said, this week we got Gamer Girl Blue, Hell Bunny,
Help Lonnie.
Schizo House Cat, Battleverse Gaming, Snow. I think it's supposed to be Snows In, like snowed in.
Yeah.
Frying Lion TV, Nerd Glory, Tech We Love, FTALZ. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Toss.
Or
And then
false.
Lil
Lil
Sickas.
Little Sickas.
Little sickas.
Little
There you go,
Sickas.
There you go. Otero Studios, Comic Book Fan, 1992, and Russo Gamer.
Yeah, I got the delicate ones. Uncle Strange, by Perduum, 89. Cactus, Get it, Molino, OMG, Captain Peter, Gerchomp, Secret Hunter, Urchino, Cudero,
Oh, wow.
Siba, 123XDHT, the Epic Goodra, Dan, the JP3 Games, Velvet Tail, Jolly Productions, and Death Trap Picnic.
And then we have a bunch of new subscribers without nerd content channels. The Q Family, Super Family, XOS Shell, Valeria Hernandez, DNT Squad,
Jaybird's house.
Where's Jaybird's
Jaybird's House, Living Life Loud, Junior Vision, Nicole Ashley, Mr. TB, and Raleigh the Red.
Yeah, so that's it. Thank you, everybody. Like we say, huge list. We really, really appreciate y'all. Every week we do a name of the week where we just go through all these new subscribers and pick the best name out, or for whatever reason we choose. Has nothing to do with the content of the channels. I think for me, this one's an easy one. Slam dunk. Dan.
Dan. Yep.
Dan.
Absolutely.
Like, he must have nailed that channel like years ago, right? Like
Wow.
the first day YouTube came out,
Maybe.
he must have claimed Dan.
That got me laughing. Absolutely. Dan's a winner for me.
I like Dan, but I have to go with Schizo House Cat. I'm sorry.
Where is mine, by the way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Dan was my second. Just.
I will go with Dan.
Dan.
Nice.
Dan,
That was almost
you're the
you,
name
Dan.
of the week.
You are the man, Lieutenant.
Congratulations. We really
And
appreciate
the
it.
man.
Damn, you got magic legs.
So we're going to end the show with the full spoilers discussion around Ready Player One. That being said, if you're taking off because you haven't seen the movie yet, this has been Comically Gaming, episode 98. We're almost at 100. We're starting to knock down the plans for episode 100. Everybody, I can't wait to get that one going. Find everything that we do over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/GCANDC.
Yeah, find us on Twitter at GCANDC.
And thank you to Fred Thomas for opening music and C. Ryder for opening logo.
Thank you, guys. So
Thank you.
taking off. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. We'll
Next
catch you,
CBBC.
catch you next week.
Yeah.
Next week's the CBBC is
Marvel 2-1, number 4.
Number
4. Maybe
Yep.
5, but number 4. We're going to go with number 4.
Yeah, so read through that by next week so you can take part in that discussion.
I'll read
All right.
it now.
All right, everybody. As we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, we are going to be doing a full spoilers review on Ready Player One. And tonight I have the esteemed pleasure to present our guests, Steph from Not So Nerdy Nerd, and then Casey, as always, our movie review connoisseur. And yeah, so let's get right into how's everyone doing tonight? Feel free to introduce yourselves, plug your channels shamelessly.
Ladies first.
Oh, thanks. Yep, so I'm Steph, and my YouTube is Not So Nerdy Nerd, and I do movie reviews, and then just some like parenting videos and just anything else that I find kind of interesting. I'll throw a video up about that too.
What's up? I'm Casey, the Movie Night, and you can find me at Movie Night with a K 88 on Twitter, and I just love talking movies.
For sure. And for everyone, all their channel information, all their Twitter information will be at the description at the bottom of this program. So let's kick it off. Steph,
Yes.
what did you think of Ready Player One?
So, like I said in my video, I have to start off by saying that I didn't read the book before seeing it, and I also am not a gamer.
Okay.
So I think like if you're a gamer, you probably took a lot more from the movie than I did. But I didn't really know anything about it either. I didn't really know what the main story was. The only thing that I heard of was that it was just like people were loving it and it was like highly anticipated and stuff. So I think having heard all that, I kind of felt a little bit let down from it because it was like so hyped, but I didn't have any like background knowledge for it.
Okay.
So I think the mix of that kind of made me just not like it as much as most people. Not that I think it was a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just came down to the fact that it just wasn't like a movie for me.
Okay.
So it wasn't like anything glaring about it that made me just not be that into it. I just don't think it was my type of movie.
Okay, cool.
Just in a basic nutshell.
All right, Casey.
So I kind of went in with a blank slate as well. I didn't read the book. My girlfriend just read the book, and I made her promise not to be a jerk about the differences in the book and the movie when we watched it. But of course, as I'm just grinning ear to ear the whole time, I look over and she's like, "That was different. I don't like
Yeah.
that. She's different." But,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But she wants to go see it again though because we both really enjoyed the film. I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan, obviously. Who isn't? Probably the best director of all time, if not top 3. I haven't been super pumped about a Steven Spielberg movie in a really long time. I think the last time it was like maybe War of the Worlds, and he's made like movies like Lincoln and War Horse that I thought were great films, just not that blockbuster, Steven Spielberg experience that I was used to as a kid. I mean, he made Jaws, he made Jurassic Park, he made some of my favorite movies of all time. And he basically invented the blockbuster. He was the first one to really make summer the location for big movies that are just bombastic and exciting and full of visual effects. And when I went in this movie, I knew it was about like, you know, a digital escape in a, you know, not so far future, and I knew there were some interesting actors in it. Ben Mendelsohn, great, you know, go-to villain these days in a lot of things like Rogue One and stuff, and he did a great job. I really liked a lot of elements in this film. I feel like you don't have to be a gamer to really appreciate it, but the aesthetic might take some getting used to if you're not a gamer, because I didn't know what the balance of real world versus the digital world it would be, but it's kind of like an 80% the digital world, 20% the real actors out in the environment. And I felt like they really succeeded at making the stakes really high with keeping the movie really fun, which is a really hard thing to do. I think you look at Marvel movies, they're fun as hell, but you never feel like anyone's in danger. Then you watch other movies, you know, and you feel like the stakes are super high, but they're so high intense that you can't really have a good time. You know, you're just like on the edge of your seat the whole time in a bad way. So I feel like this movie did a really good job balancing that. Obviously, you can enjoy it if you like pop culture, because I feel like the Oasis itself wasn't really about video games. It was a video game experience for people who love pop culture. Anything and everything. King Kong, the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, all kinds of things show up in this movie. And if you blink, you'll miss something you'll love. So I really enjoyed that, and that's another reason why I want to watch it again, is just because I know that there's like 40 things in every frame that I probably So overall, I think it was a great film. It did more than I expected it to, because I was actually really underwhelmed by the trailers. I thought they did a terrible job marketing this movie. But it's also a really high concept, so it's hard to shove that kind of thing in the mainstream media and have people just get it. But I think they did the best job they could, and I would honestly love to see a sequel. So
Really? Huh. Interesting.
And I kind of want to read the book now, too.
Yeah, I do too.
Want more of it.
So I read the book last summer when Nate was talking about it originally, and I really loved the book. I loved it for the 80s references, and it was very heavy on 80s references.
Oh, yeah.
But so I was very anxious but optimistic going into the film after watching the trailers, because when I watched the trailers, I'm like, I have a really bad feeling about this because it's not following the book. And so I was very skeptical. And then I accidentally watched it in 3D. And I hate 3D movies for the most part. I just do not like 3D the way they do it. And this one blew me away. But going back to it, I was a little perturbed that they immediately changed the first quest from the book. And since you haven't read the book, I'm not going to spoil that portion of it. But after a while, I sort of liked it, because thinking about what happened in the book, it would have been really boring if they had followed the book visually. And so what they lacked...
D&D quest, right?
Yes. And so it was D&D quest and playing Joust on an arcade console.
Yep.
So that would have bored a lot of people. What they didn't do with the book, they did visually, and I was so impressed. There was so much going on, and like you said, you don't have to be into games. It helps to catch a lot of those references. But from the whole over arc of it, they kept true to the story, where it was basically, I look at it as a modern day Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's a bloodthirsty Slugworth the whole time.
It was. But my wife, she doesn't like sci-fi movies. She dreads going to see movies with me because they're all nerdy and sci-fi. And she loved it. She's like, this is a really good movie because of the love story aspect. And I'm glad they sort of sped up the love story from the book. And they kept everyone contained in just Ohio. But they kept true with a lot of things that happened in the book overall. They just they changed it to make it more appealing to everybody. And I'd said that before. And I didn't expect the great tributes they did to John Hughes nor Stanley Kubrick in that movie. And I really came out of it loving this movie. I was like, wow, that was a really good movie. And it was a good fun movie. It's not something that you know, it was bookended where you have to follow a story before and a story after, like the MCU
Yeah.
or Star Wars. It was a really good standalone film, but seeing it in 3D, I was impressed because you get a little bit more of the enhance of the virtual reality, and I loved how they used the diegetic voice basically to tell the backstory of leading into why they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I was impressed. And then, you know, using the DeLorean and showing, showing what it could really do, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But
Yeah, DeLorean was really fun.
I kind of like the two protagonists in the movie because they had the main protagonist, Sortano. I can't remember what his name is. I'm terrible with names.
Parsival?
No, not Parsival. The antagonist. I'm sorry. The antagonist.
Oh yeah.
One of the antagonists was J.T. Miller from like Silicon Valley. And then,
TJ.
Yeah.
and then you had the main one that was the corporate guy that was just out for money.
Well, and that chick too that was like in the real world chasing them was terrifying as well.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, those real world stakes surprised me how far they went. I was like, God, they are brutal as hell. Like, where are the police? Like, the whole time I was like, why do they just let them do this? No one calls the police though. Like nobody.
Until the very end, and the cops show up. But you don't see the cops when they send those drones in to blow up the stacks.
Everywhere, I know. They're dying. People are dying everywhere, and there's not one cop in the movie to the last 20 seconds. It's crazy.
Yeah. But, oh man. I just get excited thinking about it because I was mad that they changed the quests, but then I was happy with how they did it in the movie. And I'm like, yeah. And they collaborated with the two authors, Ernest Cline and Zach. Again, the name escapes me. I'll have it down in the description. Or Dirk will probably comment and say, you're wrong. But they did collaborate, so I think that's why it held true to the essence of the book.
Yeah. And
the feel was still there because it gave the author unlimited tools to say, well, this is how I really envisioned it.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
I don't.
I mean, whenever you read a book and you go to a movie, you have to change. This isn't a mental like inside your head spectrum. Now it's a completely different platform. It's a visual platform. How do you make that appealing on every level? Right. And you always have to give up certain things. But as long as the tone of the story is consistent, as long as you still get the right feeling, because I mean it was like all about unity, people going against anyone trying to corporatize or like monetize creation.
Net
which
neutrality.
I mean, we've all done like YouTube stuff. I mean, like that's a big point of contention right now is how do you monetize something creative without making it industrial and artificial and ugly and fake. And they really did a great job with the unity of the world, standing up for what they believed in. With this place is called the Oasis. It should stay an oasis. I really enjoyed that myself.
Yeah, I mean, in talking with some people after I saw the movie that had read the book, they said the same thing, that they changed a lot of it. So in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't read it, because I probably would have been one of those people, too, who sat there and would have been like, they changed that, and it would have bugged me. So now I'm kind of happy I can read it after I've seen the movie and kind of take it as two separate things. I mean, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I went in those movies like super nitpicky. And then as they progressed, they had to start taking a lot of the story out because the books were just so long. And I sat there, I'm like, oh, they took out this story and this story. But understanding, like, the movies would have ended up being like 5 hours long. And I understand why they cut some of those things out, but again, kept the essence of what the author was trying to get across. So I can appreciate that.
I mean, if you try and put inner monologue in a movie, all people just do is shit on it and say that's too much exposition. But in a book, you can digest that in a totally different organic way.
Exactly.
And it's really hard to translate.
And with them translating to screen, if they tried to describe in the book everything you saw on screen, it would have been like War and Peace. The book would have been like this, because you think of all the visual you can do at the same time, and then, I like the call out to the fanboys of all the Halo people, with Blizzard, Gears of War. I couldn't believe the licensing. Whoever managed the licensing for this movie should get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I'm sorry, Gundam, Mechagodzilla, and at one point I was like, is that a fucking Battletoad? And it was. There were several Battletoads. I was like, come on. This is so obscure and ridiculous. I felt like 6-year-old me wrote this fucking movie.
Yeah, there was a lot that I didn't catch because of the gamer thing, but there was a lot of like movie things and just 80s things that I caught. So even though with some of the story I was just kind of like, oh, this movie's a little bit boring, there was a lot on the screen that kind of like just that kept me focused. Like, oh, I know that, and like Casey said earlier, they threw so much at you that this really is one of those movies that people are going to go back and rewatch because they'll go catch all the stuff they missed, in previous viewings.
I can see all the Easter egg videos popping up on my feed now.
Oh, yeah.
97 things you missed in Ready Player One.
Yeah.
I'm like, click. I want to watch that.
I think IGN did that. They're like, here's the Easter eggs we caught the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
And I thought it was funny is when I was watching it, you could tell the age of the audience by who laughed at what.
Oh, yeah.
If it was some really obscure 80s reference, only a few people laughed. If it was a gamers reference, you had the gamers laughing, and
what a perfect director too, because Spielberg definitely no matter what you say, he kind of peaked in the 80s, maybe early 90s, because of Schindler's List and Jurassic Park. But he encapsulated the 80s with a lot of his films, and if anyone was going to pay homage to that, but keep it fresh because he's such a stylistic director, but also knows how to just really carefully, create and craft a story. He did such a great job. I can't imagine anyone doing as good of a job technically with the movie and keeping it so true to the story while also incorporating all those homages to other platforms of culture. It's insane.
Especially
it's such a huge undertaking.
When he recreated The Shining.
I
was getting all chilled out. I was like, oh, here we go.
And they cranked it up a notch too. My girlfriend hates horror movies, and that was not in the book, so she didn't expect it. So that one threw her through a fucking.
Oh no!
She was freaking out. She was like H in the movie. She was like, I don't like scary movies. Get me out of here.
Yeah, that was real. That was really cool how they did that. I have to say, and even though I'm also not like a humongous sci-fi movie fan, but I do like Steven Spielberg, and I have to say this wasn't even one that I was like, oh, I really didn't like this sci-fi. This is actually one of my. Even though, like I said, I wasn't like the biggest fan of the movie, it was still like one of my top sci-fi movies that I've seen. So, so even though I'm not like huge into the genre, I liked the movie even though it was sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, I remember your first time watching Star Wars videos. You were asking so many questions.
I know, because I have no idea.
That's sci-fi fantasy. Totally different.
What I was surprised about is I saw Disney in the credits. And Skywalker Sound and ILM did everything. But if you sat through the credits, there was so many different visual effects teams involved in this movie.
Of course.
It was crazy. But I didn't see... In the book, they do a lot of references to Star Wars, and they only reference the Millennium Falcon in the movie.
They didn't have the rights. It's not a Disney movie. Because you didn't see these, You think Darth Vader wouldn't show up as an avatar on the battlefield?
He was in the book. He was in the book.
Of course he was, but I liked all the ones that I got. I wasn't mad about the ones I didn't get because I didn't read the book. Yeah. So while she was like, "Where's this one at? Where's this one at?" I'm like, "Dude, look at that one, that one, and that one." It's too much. It's crazy. If there was any more, really, it would be almost too much. But it was the perfect amount because every one of them got their moment to shine, which I liked. And if you increase that battle sequence to an hour by itself, I'll watch a movie of just that if they want to make it, but it'd be very expensive. So, we'll see.
And it was 2 hours and 20 minutes as it was. It was a pretty long movie, and I'm glad that they had the liberty to go that full runtime to tell the story. I was very happy about that. But
in the beginning, I thought, how are they going to get through all these challenges if they're all really hard and a puzzle? And then by the time the third one was almost done, I was like, man, I feel like this movie just flew by.
Yeah.
If you can make an inflated movie with tons of stuff and creating the beginning of a story, so you have all that exposition as well as the chunk of the story and the ending and the setting up the sequels, everything. If you can do all that and still make the movie really move at a good pace, that's some next level filmmaking. Not a lot of people can do that.
For sure. For sure. All right, final thoughts. What's your rating? We've expanded our rating to a 100-point scale, so now you can give it decimal points. So 1 through 10. But you can do decimals.
Oh, man. You guys go first.
All right, go for it, Casey, because I think I already rated it.
I'm going to give it an 8.8 because I liked it a lot. I was born in the 80s in 88, so that's my 8.8 right there. I thought that they did a great job. I felt like I was laughing because I was like, I believe this world more than I believed Justice League because the CGI was on fucking point. And like to call back like a year and a half, 2 years ago when Warcraft came out, if you want to see how to do a video game movie with terrible CGI and a video game movie with good CGI, because it's like if you try and make me think that's real, it's not going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
So just build it in a different reality and make me believe that whole reality, not just chunks of what I'm seeing on screen. And so I think the way they attacked this movie was really smart. It was ahead of its time. I think people are going to look back on this as the first like video game movie, even though it's not based specifically on one video game, that changed the way we look at that whole demographic of film. Thank you, Steven Spielberg.
I give it a 9.5. At first, I was really on the fence because I was pissed that it didn't follow the book. But watching it, I started to soften up. And then I think what sold it for me was the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory reference. And actually, it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because they reference Gene Wilder's character in there. And it was whole with the sign of the contract.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
You know, and then he showed him the button, which is sort of like the glass elevator. You know, and I loved how they interacted real life and him inside the movie at the same exact time. They did that almost split scenes, jumping back and forth between the realities, and I think that's what sold. I gave it a 9.5, just because it was not a 10. It's hard to find a 10.
Yeah. Probably, geez, I would have probably given it like maybe a 5, like immediately after seeing the movie. But after really thinking about it and talking to more people about it, I would probably go like 7.5 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty respectable. I mean, you're not a gamer like the rest of us nerds. You know, you're more Harry Potter, which is in itself. You know, you could probably school us on trivia forever. I've read all the books, but so that's awesome. I appreciate you both for being here, taking time out of your busy lives. Sit down and talk movies. And for everyone else, don't forget CBBC next week is going to be Marvel 2-in-1 number 4. So.
Yep. And go see Ready Player One because it's awesome.
And go see Ready Player One because it is awesome. And watch it in 3D. So that is it.